Brent, you said you'd name a quarterback, starting quarterback when you were comfortable and when you felt ready. Are you ready at this point after the spring's now kind of concluded to name a starter?
No, I wouldn't say that. I thought Grant played awful well today, did some good things. Obviously, Jason, the offensive line struggled a little bit for the white group, made it tough on Jason. But Grant obviously threw some good balls and had a good first half out there. But, we'll evaluate the film and continue to work through the summer, and we'll take that competition into the preseason camp.
So you think you'll wait till camp?
I do. Yes, sir.
Sticking with the quarterbacks, though, haven't seen both those guys in this setting. Do you feel comfortable with kind of what you have in terms of one guy, two guys, some backup, some youth? Do you like the health of the room? Yeah,
obviously we got to continue to get better there. I thought Grant ran the offense pretty well. You feel like with a summer and a preseason camp by September, what can he look like out there? I thought the two young kids, the dual threat guys, did some good things with their feet. And as a defensive coordinator, I understand that's hard to defend sometimes. So I was pleased with what I saw out of those guys.
I know a sack in the spring game is not really a sack. What did you see out of your defensive lineman in terms of pressure?
Yeah, I know Pollard was mad at me, boy. He thought he had a couple there I didn't give him. But I thought they put decent pressure on the quarterback. We were very limited in what we did. And it's a little more challenging on offensive lines when you split those guys up. And the communication's so critical and they're not lined up next to their guys. It's just more challenging for that group. So generally the defensive line has a little bit of an advantage. And I thought they chased those quarterbacks around pretty good, flushed the pocket quite a few times.
I'm curious, did you miss your cue on Under Sandman coming in? It looked like you hesitated for a second.
It was go, go, no, no.
Brent, has Caleb Smith been that explosive throughout the entire spring?
He's done a nice job. He's one of those guys that was in the conversation for just most improved. Each and every outing, he did something in every practice. He's a big guy with a big catch radius. He's consistently one of our top guys on our GPS speed barometer. He's one of those guys, he maybe doesn't always look like he's moving fast, but he covers a lot of ground. And he had a really good spring for us.
Was there any, I kind of asked you about this Wednesday, but just when you did split the rosters up, any goals in terms of trying to group things, specific things together when you kind of came up with the rosters for today? How did you end up what were the key kind of decision-making factors?
Yeah, for the most part, I wanted it to be fairly even. But there were certain things we needed to do just from an operation standpoint to make sure that the game could flow. And then there was a couple things with some personnel decisions based on availability of reps and making sure we could distribute reps the right way, particularly at running back.
And then the running back group didn't, kind of struggled a little bit, didn't get a lot of, explosive runs or anything like that. Is that just the nature of the spring game since the offensive playbook is vanilla, defenses kind of maybe know what to expect, or is that, were you disappointed about that at all?
No, I wouldn't say I was disappointed, but from standing behind, there wasn't a lot for those backs out there today.
Hey, Coach, back here. Could you comment on the atmosphere and the crowd reception? Not bad for a soft opening.
I'm glad you brought it up. It was awesome. The fan base, unbelievable job coming out today. To be honest, the whole weekend's been great. A lot of excitement and energy and support for Virginia Tech football. And, with everything going on, softball and baseball, just a really good vibe in Blacksburg today.
Stay in the back here. Hey, Coach, going back to Caleb Smith, I remember that first open practice, he had a drop pass, and you got on him pretty quickly. Can you speak to his development, and perhaps what is that next step for him in terms of being a great receiver?
Yeah, honestly, he's one of our best workers. And when you're going to come out and put your hard hat on every day and work like he does, you're going to get better. And he's done that. He's got a mature approach to this thing. He's really consistent, and I like what I see from him.
Coach, you referenced this, but Pollard looked like thought he had the sack on the touchdown pass. Looks like you guys ran right to each other. What, if you were willing to share, what was that conversation, that interaction?
Oh, he was just telling me he got the sack, and I said, yeah, you probably did. I said, we'll look at the film. I said, if you weren't mad, I'd be disappointed.
What have you seen from him over this spring in terms of, especially in regards to the pass rush?
Yeah, honestly, I really liked his performance today. It was probably his best outing. And You know, he's a talented guy, and he needs to be a guy that's productive. He's got to be an inside guy. When you got an inside guy that can pressure the quarterback, it's a problem for people. And I think he can be that guy for us.
In the back, court.
Coach, it seemed like there was more football alumni here than I've ever seen before. What did that process look like, trying to build that trust and get them to come today, and the emphasis you put on having an alumni presence?
And again, a good question. Thanks for asking. Obviously, getting those lettermen back, super important to us. This is their program more than it is mine. And, you know, to have those guys back supporting this team and supporting our staff and diving back into this. Listen, they want a winning program here too. They want to see things return to the way they were. They want championships in that stadium, and those guys have done it. So I just told them, I said, anything they need from us, we'll be there for them. And as often as they can get back, I want them here. And I want them around our players, and I want them, you know, in front of our football team.
What is the post-spring plan in terms of meeting with coaches and finalizing evaluations? Do you meet with players individually? How does that whole thing work?
Yeah, so I asked the assistant coaches. They met with their positions all last week, just knowing that they'd be hitting the recruiting trail, some of them first thing Monday morning. So they've all had meetings with their guys, individual meetings. It was evaluation meetings. There's an evaluation process, evaluation form that the players were given, the coaches were given. Each of them filled it out, and then they get together and they discuss things. And that information gets passed on to me, and I'll meet with each and every member of the football team over the next 2 weeks.
Hey, Brent, I was going to ask about the alumni too. I mean, can you estimate how many guys you saw face-to-face for the first time this weekend, and like how many opportunities you had?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I know we had a group of them, Chuck Clark and the Fuller brothers and Wyatt, and those guys all spoke to our recruiting group today, which was awesome. You talk about impactful. You get 7, 8 guys up there. Shane Graham was in there, and to jump up in front of a bunch of good prospects and their families and deliver a strong message about Virginia Tech and supporting myself and this staff and the direction we're going. Again, impactful. You know, I don't know how many of them were here. I know I spent a lot of time looking up. You know, the Edmonds brothers and Cam Chancellor and those guys, a bunch of good-looking guys. But it was great to have them back here.
Nike Hawkins came in, 4-star kid out of high school, seemed to not really find his rhythm early in his career, has 5 tackles today, seemed to have a large role, at least on that white team defense. What have you seen from him this spring, and what do you anticipate his role for the upcoming season?
Yeah, I tell you, he's one of those guys that he plays the game the way you're supposed to play it. He runs by people to get to the ball. He's got a lot of suddenness. He's quick. I'm excited about him, and he's had a pretty good spring. So today, I think, was his best performance. So he's a guy that he's going to have a chance to factor in for us.
Devin Farrell only attempted 1 pass, but ran the ball pretty well. Is he a guy that did enough to stay at quarterback for the fall? I mean, were you thinking still position change for him? I mean, do you need 5 quarterbacks kind of in fall camp, especially with, you know, Connor even getting some reps there still? What are your plans for him after the spring?
Yeah, right now he's going to continue to be a quarterback for us. He learns the offense well, and he's obviously got really nice feet and good athleticism. You know, the one throw today, he should have stepped into that thing. He saw it. I was right behind him, and he just didn't. He had a chance to throw a nice ball there. He's got a strong arm, and he picks things up well. So, you know, he'll continue to be a quarterback for us, but he is athletic enough to play some other positions.
And him and Taj will kind of continue to compete for that
Yes, sir.
third spot?
Yes, sir.
And then just one defender I want to ask about, Wolf Pranay, guy that moved around in the fall, seemed to have some good plays today. What do you like about him and his, you know, obviously kind of still new to the position almost? What are your kind of thoughts on him?
He's had a good spring as well. He's another guy that was in the conversation for most improved, which should tell you a lot about the spring that Fuga had. But Panay is an interesting guy, you know. I mean, English is his second language, but he really picked up the defense well. I love big guys that have good feet, and he's probably got the best feet of any of those inside guys. So all that trash that happens in there, he can really navigate it and get in and out of things, and he works his butt off. So I'm excited about him.
You mentioned, I think, on Wednesday that you'd be vanilla. The game's on TV. You're not trying to kind of sell the farm today. But Connor Blumberg, was his package maybe the most limited? Because I'm sure there's a lot there that you don't want to show early.
Yeah, obviously, he's a guy that we're super excited about. And he's done some good things in practice in certain packages. And you don't want to show everything you're going to do with him. But, I was okay moving him around and doing a little bit. That's going to be part of it. And honestly, I want folks to wonder about what we're going to do with him. I think it's a good problem for others to have.
Hey, Coach. I was just wondering, you talked about how the former players came back to talk to the recruits. What do you think that has, how do you think it impacts the recruits' decision, and then also just the atmosphere that the fans gave today? How would that help maybe get some more recruits here?
Yeah, that's all important. Those guys, those recruits love seeing those NFL guys. The dads love seeing those guys. They remember them a little bit better when they were playing here than their sons do. But, having those guys, I watched when those 7 or 8 guys got done talking to the recruits. They flocked to those guys and wanted autographs and pictures. And so it's just good. It just adds to it. And then, you want to go to a place that's got a passionate fan base, where when you go to a spring game, it looks like that. And there's tons of excitement and support. And so, it's a good piece for us to be able to talk to recruits and their families about. The lettermen wanting to be back and be part of this and supporting this, and the fan base supporting this and being out there supporting our players. So.
Brent, you mentioned a couple times there were a couple guys in the running for the most improved award from the spring. Nick Gallo and Josh Fuga won those awards. What stood out to them, or what stood out to you about what they did this spring to improve? Yeah,
to be honest, Fuga just he had some weaknesses that we talked candidly about going into spring, evaluating the film from the fall, and what he did in the winter, and he attacked it. He stayed quiet, and he worked, and he really focused on the things we asked him to, and he got better in a bunch of areas. So it wasn't an easy decision, but, in the end, he just said, when you look at day one and what you see from somebody, and then practice 15, what you see, his improvement was dramatic, and it needed to be. For us to feel better about the tackle position, we need him to be a player for us.
I know you're, as a coach, your mind's on a million different things, but in the morning, tomorrow, spring's over, your camp's over, and you wake up and you've talked about this being the ground level. What's your biggest, is there something that will be on your mind that you didn't do on the spring, well enough that for your mind? There's something that's you'll wake up and be like, man, I don't think we did this or accomplished this spring.
About everything, honestly, there were some good things out there today, but I feel like we just got so much to do in a ton of areas to get where we need to be. And I don't want to go out there and just and be solid, and just put a decent team out there. We want to go out there and compete to win each and every game. And right now, we just got a lot of areas that we first have to identify, and then we got to figure out how we're going to improve in these areas. So that's not just for the individual players. That's what we're doing schematically. That's what we're doing culturally as a program. It's all of it. So it's a constant evaluation process for all of us, each and every day, to be honest.
For new coaches like you, is that harder than it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago? We had more practice time, but you could have those players more?
Yeah, it's challenging. You want them more. You're able to do a little bit more in the summer now, which is good. But, you're always looking for more. And we're fortunate we got a bunch of guys that are coming in on their own and doing the extra, which, if you want to be a big league program, that's required. We can't make it be that way, but they can. And, the guys got to invest.